Let me ask you something strange. What if the reason you're broke, or the reason you keep almost making it but never quite getting there, has nothing to do with your income, your job, your city, or even your luck? What if the real thief stealing your financial future isn't the economy, isn't your boss, and isn't inflation? What if it's something living inside your own head, something you've never once thought to question? That's what this video is about. And I promise you, by the time we reach the end, you will never look at your money decisions the same way again. Here's a puzzle for you. Two people. Same salary. Same city. Same rent. One builds wealth quietly over 10 years. The other spins in financial chaos, always a little short, always one emergency away from a crisis, always wondering where the money went. The math on paper is identical. The outcome is completely different. So what separates them? The answer isn't discipline. It isn't intelligence. It's something far quieter, far more invisible, and honestly far more terrifying. And we'll get to that answer, but first, let me tell you about a guy named Marcus. Marcus was 31. He made good money. He was smart. He read finance articles on his lunch break, had a savings account he opened twice and closed twice, and genuinely believed he was bad with money. He blamed his spending on stress. He blamed his empty savings on his rent. He blamed his credit card debt on his salary not keeping up with the cost of living. He had a reason for everything. A perfectly logical, perfectly rehearsed story he told himself every single month. And that story was the most expensive thing he ever owned. Here's the puzzle answer I promised you earlier. Remember the two people with the same salary and totally different outcomes? The difference wasn't discipline. It was emotional awareness. The person building wealth quietly had done something rare. They had learned to recognize the emotional signal before it became a financial action. They learned to pause. Not forever. Just long enough to ask, is this decision coming from a place of clarity? Or is this coming from a feeling I haven't named yet? That pause, that single, almost invisible habit, is worth more than any budgeting app, any investment strategy, or any finance book you'll ever read. Now let me show you the system behind this. Because this isn't just about individual moments of impulse control. This is about the deep architecture of how emotions build or destroy financial lives over time. Think of it like a river. Emotions are the current. Your decisions are the water moving through. Most people are trying to stop the river by putting their hands in front of it. They're trying to willpower their way through every financial decision. But the people who win financially, the ones who actually build wealth, they learn to redirect the current. They don't fight their fear of loss. They channel it into building an emergency fund so the fear finally has nowhere to go. They don't fight their excitement. They create rules for when excitement is allowed to touch their money and when it isn't. Let me give you a realistic scenario. Imagine two women, both 35, both earning $55,000 a year, both starting to think seriously about their future. The first one, let's call her Diana, never really examines her emotional relationship with money. She saves when she feels motivated, spends when she feels stressed, invests impulsively when she sees something exciting, and pulls back from the market every time it dips because fear takes over. Over 10 years, with the same income, here's the what-if scenario I want you to think about. What if you changed just one thing? Not your income, not your budget, just one emotional habit. What if every single time you were about to make a purchase over $100, you waited 24 hours? That's it. Not forever. Just one day. Studies on consumer behavior show that a large percentage of purchases made in a state of emotional activation, stress, excitement, sadness, FOMO, are regretted within 72 hours. One day of waiting doesn't kill your joy. It filters out the noise. And over a lifetime, filtering out that noise is the difference between retiring early and working until your body says stop. Let me be fair here, because this video isn't trying to make you afraid of your own feelings. Emotions are not the enemy. Some of the best financial decisions people ever make come from gut feeling backed by genuine intuition. The problem is most people can't tell the difference between intuition and impulse. Intuition is slow, calm, and rooted in real experience. Impulse is fast, loud, and usually dressed up as urgency. Learning to tell those two apart, That's the real financial skill nobody teaches in school. Here's something else most personal finance content ignores. The emotions around money are almost always inherited. The way your parents talked about money, or didn't talk about it, is running in the background of your financial life right now like software you never chose to install. If money in your house growing up meant tension, you might unconsciously self-sabotage when you start doing well financially because somewhere deep in your brain, having money equals conflict. If money was always described as something other people had, you might have an invisible ceiling on what you believe you're allowed to build. This isn't therapy talk. This is practical. Because you cannot change a program you don't know is running. And now we reach the universal lesson. The one that goes beyond money, beyond budgets, beyond investing. Here it is. Every area of your life where you feel stuck, whether that's your finances, your health, your relationships, your career, there is an emotion underneath the behavior you keep repeating. You are not a rational creature who occasionally gets emotional. You are an emotional creature who occasionally gets rational. And the moment you accept that, truly accept it, everything changes. You stop trying to outlogic yourself. You start working with your emotional nature instead of pretending it isn't there. You stop setting goals that only make sense on paper and start building systems that actually fit how you feel. Marcus, by the way, the guy from the beginning of this video, eventually figured this out. Not from a book. Not from a course. He figured it out the day he sat down and tried to remember the emotional state he was in every time he made a money mistake. And he saw the pattern immediately. Every single time. It was always the same feeling first. Once he saw it, he couldn't unsee it. And from that day forward, that feeling became a signal instead of a command. He didn't become perfect. He became aware. And awareness, in money, in life, in everything, is where real change actually starts. If this video hit different, if something in here landed for you in a real way, please share it. Subscribe to Wealth Psychology Lab for more content that goes deeper than the surface. Leave a comment below with one emotion you now realize has been quietly running your money. And hit the like button if you're finally ready to stop being unconsciously controlled by something you never even thought to examine. Your financial life is not a math problem. It is a mirror. And now you know what to look for. Now right here, if you're finding this valuable, do something for me, hit that like button right now, subscribe to Wealth Psychology Lab if you haven't already, and drop a comment below telling me which emotion you think controls your money the most. Fear? Shame? Or keep watching because there are more. Share this video with someone in your life who needs to hear this today. You might literally change their financial future just by sharing a YouTube video. Okay, back to the third emotion. The third emotion is excitement. Now this one feels good, so people rarely question it. Excitement is what makes you buy the course at midnight that you'll never finish. Excitement is what makes you dump money into a trending stock because everyone on social media is going crazy about it. Excitement is the emotion that makes financial predators rich. They don't sell you an investment, they sell you a feeling. And that feeling bypasses every rational thought you have and goes straight to your wallet. The people who understand this principle either become very wealthy or they design the traps that catch everyone else. Here's the midpoint twist. And I need you to really sit with this one. You've probably spent your whole financial life thinking that making more money would solve your problems. More income equals more security equals more freedom. But here's what actually happens to most people when their income goes up. Their spending goes up at the same rate. Sometimes faster. This isn't laziness. This isn't stupidity. It's a psychological principle called lifestyle inflation, and it's powered entirely by emotion. The emotions that told you, I deserve this, when you were broke get louder when you have more money to spend. The emotions that drove fear-based decisions don't disappear with a raise. They find new, more expensive ways to express themselves. It doesn't respond to logic. It responds to emotion. Every financial decision you make, every purchase, every investment, every time you say, I'll start saving next month, is driven first by how you feel, and then justified after the fact by your brain using logic. Neuroscience actually backs this up. Studies have shown that the emotional center of the brain fires before the rational center even gets involved. You feel the decision first. The thinking comes second. And most of the time, the thinking is just a lawyer defending whatever the feeling already chose. So what emotions are actually running your money? There are a few big ones. And most people will recognize at least one of these, maybe more than they want to admit. The first one is fear. Fear is the sneakiest one because it disguises itself as responsibility. Fear tells you not to invest because, what if you lose it? Fear tells you not to start the business because, what if it fails? Fear keeps money in a checking account earning nothing because at least it feels safe. Fear is why millions of people are technically financially stable but never actually building anything. They're protecting themselves so hard from loss that they've guaranteed a different kind of loss, the slow, invisible kind called missed opportunity. The second emotion is shame, and this one hits deep. Shame lives in the gap between where you are and where you think you should be. It's the reason people don't open their bank statements. It's the reason someone will spend $300 on a dinner they can't afford just to feel like they belong at the table. Shame drives us to perform wealth we don't have, and it silently drains the wealth we're trying to build. The most dangerous part about shame is that it doesn't announce itself. It just quietly steers.